What follows is a video tale of three Sun City retired citizens who happen to share the same birthday month. Their names have not been changed. Let's face it, at their age they are not so innocent. All three were raised to respect their elders. Well, they have finally reached the age where they don't have anyone to respect. Yes, they are old. All three moved to Sun City around the same time. I believe Pat was the first, then Gary, and then Wanda. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Here's a little history on our honorees. Our first encounter with Pat was at karaoke night at Cafe on the Green, formerly Sparky's, and then Putters, and soon to be Mulligan's. Yes! Mike Glacken, a Neighborhood 42 resident, loves to sing karaoke. On his first visit to Cafe on the Green, he sang a Willie Nelson song. When he finished, the first cougar to hit our table was Pat, with a list of other Willie Nelson songs she wanted to know if he could sing those. To this day, she still maintains the title of being Mike's first cougar. Pat can be a little spitfire. A while back, she was driving on Ronald Reagan and got pulled over by a cop. He asked to see her license and proof of insurance. She was just a little upset at being pulled over, and in her frustration to hand over what the cop wanted, she mistakenly also handed him her license to carry. The cop asked her if she had a weapon in the car, and she said yes. I've got a .45 in the glove box, a 9mm in the center console, and a .38 special in my purse. The cop asked what she was so afraid of, and she looked at him and said, "Not a damn thing." Next we have Gary. What can we say about Mr. Starnes? The first time I met him was at a gathering of Neighborhood 42 residents. My husband was still working in Louisiana and only came to town every other weekend. He made it to this neighborhood party, and about 3/4 of the way through the evening, this man, Gary, comes up to me and is hugging me hard, saying that he has been looking all over for me. I had no clue who he was. Someone told him we had moved here from Louisiana, and he was thrilled to know he was not the only Louisiana transplant. It's moments like this that give his wife Marie some concerns. She worries sometimes when Gary ventures out alone, especially if he's driving. Just the other day, Gary was in the car driving down the freeway when his cell phone rang. When he answered, he heard Marie's voice yelling at him, "Gary, I just heard on the news that there's a car going the wrong way on I-35. Please be careful." "Hell," said Gary, "it's not just one car, it's hundreds of them." Wanda, longtime friend of Neighborhood 42 residents, Gail and John Pace. They brought her to karaoke night, and that is when she met Pat and Gary and others. Wanda works full-time, but loves to have as much fun as possible in her off hours. I remember going to her house for bunco. Her decor is very Western, which I assume comes from her years working as a volunteer with the Houston Rodeo on the Palomino Committee. While she was showing me her house, I couldn't help but notice an old tea kettle on her counter. I wondered why she would want to fill a tea kettle instead of just putting her cup in the microwave. Wouldn't that be faster? She smiled. She said, yeah, it would be faster. But the kettle was a little piece of nostalgia. I asked if it was a family heirloom. She said no. She just liked being whistled at. You go, girl. Karaoke was the glue for this group. Wanda and Pat don't sing. No, wait. Pat likes to sing Tequila. Gary is best known for singing God Bless Texas. That's a big stretch for this proud Louisiana boy. Wanda just likes the music and an evening out. 2 Texas hotties and 1 Louisiana Cajun all celebrating birthdays. On the menu tonight should be some Cajun barbecue to celebrate these 3 spicy, feisty seniors. It was at karaoke that Gail, Wanda, and John ran into another friend from their Houston rodeo days, Jack Alberton. They asked what he was doing at Sun City karaoke night, and he said his sister Pat lived here and he was here to sing. In fact, if we look around this room tonight, many of the people here first met these 3 at Cafe on the Greens karaoke nights. There have been many adventures over the past 10 years. Also, many Cosmos, martinis, and beer. Let's take a quick look at some clips that will show how alcohol has played a part in some fun and some poor results. A decision that was made most likely under the influence of beer was Gary's agreement to join with 3 other Sun City men to hike the Grand Canyon rim to rim. Rim to rim meant he would hike down one side, spend the night at the bottom, and hike back up the other side the next day. Not an easy feat. Needless to say, Gary had some choice moments along the hike. One that resembled scenes of Linda Blair from The Exorcist. Not being a very religious man, this was one time when he finally made it out. He looked at his wife and said, "I prayed, Marie. I really prayed." That night, to celebrate their accomplishment, the 4 men and their wives dined at a fancy dinner at the Canyon Lodge. At the end of the meal, the guys were pretty stiff, physically. It was then we realized that they had to climb the stairs to the 2nd floor of the lodge. There were no elevators. Ladies and gentlemen, we give you the Canyon Shuffle. This threesome has made a few trips outside the perimeter of Sun City, even outside the borders of Texas. There have been a few cruises in and around the Caribbean, and also a few direct flights to Mexico to stay at resorts in Puerto Vallarta and Cabo San Lucas. What was it about Cabo that had them believing they could be pole dancers? It's almost like they heard Oprah in the background saying, "You can be a pole dancer, and you can be a pole dancer, and you can be a pole dancer." Come on, at their age, they should be holding onto the safety bar in their bathtub. That's the only pole dance they need to be doing. This next little clip proves my point. Pat needed some therapy after that class, so it was off to some of the many pools that they have graced with their presence. Look at these photos and you will notice no one is swimming, but they were sure having fun, as this clip will show us all.
Facebook, you got a picture of her and you can put nothing to so funny alcohol is a wonderful thing. It's only a 1 minute.
I was curious as to how these three are handling growing older, so I did a little research. Marie said Gary went to see his doctor. He wanted to make sure that Medicare would still pay for his Viagra. And why is his doctor smiling? It's because Marie was behind Gary, holding a sign for the doctor that said, "No!" Wanda has been somewhat okay, maybe a little down in the dumps. Gail tried consoling her. She said, "Girl, 65 is the new middle age." Wanda said, "Yeah, right. How many 130-year-olds do you know?" Just a little curious, I asked Wanda, what was the one thing she hadn't done yet that she always dreamed of doing without missing a beat? She said, "Robert Redford." Oh, yum. Pat, our lovely, lovely Pat. God love her. She's always having problems texting on her phone, and I get the call for help. Once I tried to talk her through it over the phone, but it was only confusing her more. So I drove over to her house, and it was all I could do to keep from laughing when she handed me a calculator and told me to just fix it. We have cattle calls in neighborhood 42. Sun City froze over. And Pat, Gary, and Wanda continue to enjoy their family and friends. Sit back and enjoy the next 3 minutes of some more of their memories.